And it goes by really fast, which can be a good thing and a bad thing. I get to the weekend faster, but life is going by quick. I'm already a grandmother.
Welcome back to Frederick Advice Givers, episode 195. I am Eric Verdi, and with us, joining us this week is Anne Souder with Anne Souder Designs. So I've known Anne for about 7-8 years now. Anne has a design staging business, basically serving the 270 corridor, pretty much?
Pretty much, and towards Baltimore, Columbia area
You go down
as well.
there? Mm-hmm. Okay. So Anne has been doing staging for 5-6 years?
No, it's been about 9 years now.
Okay. Mm-hmm. But you've really gotten into it hard the last few years.
Right, well I started out slowly.
Right,
You're
right.
So it's really built up now.
So I'm thrilled to have her on to share her story with you today. So Anne, before we get into the meat of the interview, give us your backstory. Like, where do you grow up? What do you enjoy doing in your spare time? Family, stuff like that.
Well, I have 3 kids. They range from 16 to 27, okay. And I have a new grandson. Yay!
Awesome! Congratulations!
Thank you. It's fun. I grew up in Germantown. I went to Seneca Valley High School, and then I went on to Messiah College out in Grantham, Pennsylvania, where I was a home economic major, which is not something people have ever heard of anymore. But it was a great degree because it gave me like 4 minors instead of 1 major. Okay. So anyway, that was, from there I went on to doing some accounting work. And it allowed me to work from home with my daughter when she was born. And then I started doing the accounting for my brother's business. They had a disaster restoration business, with fire and flood, that kind of thing. And I started doing their accounting and soon discovered that people's houses were severely damaged, and we reminded them, you don't have to put the house back the way it was. And so that's when my interior design started coming in. I started remodeling their kitchens and their bathrooms and started focusing more on that and kind of phasing out of the accounting. So, and then from there,
so you guys started.
Yeah, and then as you meet realtors and things like that, they start asking, can you do some staging, things like that. So, that's how I got into it.
A grandmother.
I'm a grandmother.
That's awesome. How old's?
He's just turned 6 months.
Okay, so new.
New.
Local?
Yes, thank goodness.
How often do you get to see?
Well, I was with him yesterday and babysitting him this evening.
Oh, so, awesome. Yeah. So very local.
Yes.
Cool. So why did you and Johnny choose to settle here in the Frederick, Germantown area?
Well, I think, when you live in Montgomery County, you start to move out, right? Because the hustle and the bustle and there's traffic. And so we lived in Gaithersburg, and we, decided let's move out a little bit, but we don't want to go too far. So we're now in the Imesville area. Right. So I think the beauty of that is we're kind of still near everything, but we don't have all the congestion and traffic. So I love it.
Awesome.
I love it.
So Anne, what is the last purchase? So to take this back on a more personal level, what's the last purchase that you splurged on for yourself or your family?
Being an interior designer, I get the luxury of swapping out my furniture in my house all the time. Okay. But I didn't have any sofa in my inventory that I needed for one specific room, so I just bought a new sofa.
For yourself?
For myself.
You're not going to use it in the house?
You never know if I use it. I cannot promise that.
Gotcha.
It happens all the time.
So what hobby or interest could you spend hours doing in your spare time? I know you have a ton of spare time. You're not very busy. You don't have anything going on, but in your spare time, what hobby or interest? Since
I really don't have any spare time, if I'm not with my grandchild, I love to entertain. So I do a lot of cooking on the weekends for friends and family, that kind of stuff.
Was there any genre that you are really good at or that you prefer over another? Like Italian or Peruvian or? I
have dishes that people
Cajun?
Request.
Yeah, and what are they?
Oh my goodness.
What are you famous? Like, what are you known for? What are you famous for? What's your dish? Like when you go to a party or when people come over, like what are the? Anne, this is great because Anne makes this.
I know. One of them is moussaka.
Okay.
Love it, and a lot of people don't know what it is, so it's something new for them. Okay. But then there's some chicken recipes that I do and puff pastry sheets and things like that that people enjoy and will request. And I don't know, I feel like I'm bragging, so I don't know.
That's what you're here for. That's awesome. That's awesome. So being an entrepreneur, we don't have a 9-to-5 job. We don't have a steady paycheck. We don't really have health insurance. That's a whole different subject.
Well, we have health insurance, but nobody gives it to us.
Exactly. So it's not a cookie cutter life. We're not in a box, and we have to be self-motivated. Right. So what is that motivation for you? Like, what's your drive? What keeps you going?
I think that's easy. I get bored very easily.
Okay.
And no 2 days are alike for me. No 2 houses that I stage. If I'm doing a commercial project, it's going to be completely different from another one that I've done.
Right.
If I'm working for the end user, the homeowner, I really have to gear down to their taste and not mine. When I'm doing staging, it gets to be more of what I like.
Right.
That kind of thing. Or if I'm working for the end user, I need to make sure I made them happy and this is the world they want to live in. So because of that variety, I guess, right, every day I get to wake up and go, okay, what's on my schedule for today? Boom, boom, boom. And it goes by really fast, which can be a good thing and a bad thing. I get to the weekend faster, but life is going by quick. I'm already a grandmother, so.
So let's talk about the end user, okay? So I buy a house and, I want to come in and redo my floors or refinish my floors or whatever, or paint, or I don't know how to lay out a room. So that's something you help with too? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, so what I'll normally do for the end user is I always hope that I get them in the very beginning of the process. Mm-hmm. Like if I stage the house, sometimes they'll request my name to help with once my stuff's gone and they have to put theirs in, and that's the best. Because what I like to do is I like to put together a design board for the whole house, because I think that each room should mirror each other in enough that you still feel like you're in the same house.
Right.
And a lot of times I have to work with certain pieces that they have already, and I need to get that flavor throughout the house. So if I can put together a room design, but for the whole house, then I can kind of make sure that they're not making purchases that aren't going to really work with the rest of the house. Right. You went with an oriental motif here, and you went with rustic charm here, and so I can kind of, if I can get in the beginning, it really helps, and then I can really help with the flooring, the carpet, the flooring, the wall colors, that kind of thing. The bathrooms, things like that, I can get it, with their personal taste. What are we going for? Is this just going to be transitional, or do we want something very traditional or very contemporary? Right. So like I said, for them, it's really more about what they want, not what I want.
So the sooner you get involved in that process, the easier it is for you.
Much easier.
And them too. So what advice, Anne, being an entrepreneur, successful entrepreneur over the last 9 years, what advice would you give somebody just starting out in business? That doesn't specifically have to be staging design, but what advice would you give somebody?
I think the first thing I would say is understand you're going to start out part-time, right? You've got to find a way, whether it's through social media or whatever, to get your name out there and let people know what you're doing. Don't be afraid to take on any job. It might be best if you let them know up front that you're new at this and that this is a passion of yours, and that you've been requested by several friends and family, and this is something that you wanted to get into, because you may not have your pitch, if you will.
Right.
So it's to know exactly how to go in and work this. Trial and error will get you exactly where you need to be, and you'll get there soon enough. But I think working for friends and family is the best place to start too, even if you work cheap or free.
So in the last 3 years, what's a decision you've made or a choice you've made that's led you to, where you are in your business or where you are in your life? Did you have an awakening? Did you acquire a warehouse? Did you do anything?
I did acquire a warehouse,
you did?
But more about 5 years ago.
Okay.
And because staging became something I started doing a lot more of instead of just working for the end user. And then acquiring furniture, it adds up fast. I mean, the amount of warehouse space that we need, thankfully, we're very busy. So furniture comes in, furniture goes out, and hopefully it doesn't stay in the warehouse very long at all. But if it all came back to the warehouse, I'd be in big trouble because I can stage about 13 homes right now, top to bottom.
Okay.
So it's a lot of furniture.
That's a lot of inventory.
It's a lot of pictures, a lot of lamps, a lot of rugs, a lot of furniture. It's a lot of everything. So yeah. So, but you don't get there overnight, and you don't want to because it can get hectic.
And you don't want to have that near all your garage either.
No, that's true. Johnny would kill me.
Yeah, even though you got a big garage, but yes. All right, so I've known you for a while. You're episode 195. I love learning and asking questions. So I want to flip the script and have you ask me a question.
Okay. So real estate.
Okay.
Again, like you said, no two clients are the same. What makes you get up in the morning? What do you like about real estate? I always feel like I have the easy part with staging. I get to go in, get to decorating, get in, get out. You have to deal with clients.
Yeah, it's not always.
It's not always easy.
It's not always easy. It's not always fun. So I have a house right now that we've lost a couple contracts on, and delivering bad news is really kind of hard. Like I always tell people, like in real estate, like you come in and we have our staging design partners, and we kind of give you like a heads up. You know, we're going into this house, and you know you've got this to work with, or we've got this budget to work with. And sometimes, like with our partners, we can have good cop, bad cop, and say, hey, look, you know, I don't like deliver this bad news. I can deliver the bad news that their contract fell through. But what keeps me motivated and going is, like I always tell people, like when I got into the business, it's rewarding to help people like get their first house. And most of the time, like if I had a choice, and I love working with, you know, my photographers and my stager, and everything that we do to prepare a home is a lot of fun, and seeing that transform is a lot of fun. It really is. But working with a home buyer, like finding somebody and they never thought they were going to get a home, and you can, like I really enjoy working with home buyers because you walk in, and I always tell home buyers, like you'll feel it, like you'll know it, like when you walk in, it'll just feel right. It'll feel like home. And if it feels like home, we need to go get that house for you.
Okay.
That is just helping home buyers. And then number two is figuring out how to structure offers to get that home buyer that house.
And to the price point they need.
Right, the price point, or
mortgage,
like
all that stuff in mind.
I tell buyers, like, look, I can write an offer 100 different ways. Like, are we asking for closing costs? Are we going as is? Are we doing this? Are we doing that? Like, I can figure out a way to make an offer 100 different ways. We need to sit down and have a game plan and like on a scale of 1 to 10, like how much do you like this house? If you tell me it's a 9 or a 10,
right,
we're gonna have a different game plan than
because you don't want to take the chance of losing it.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So working with home buyers is my long
good
answer to your question. Last two questions. You're doing great. You're doing awesome. Love it. I still can't believe I can't get over the fact you're a grandmother. That blows I didn't know. That blows my mind.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's so cool. I am now that gloating grandmother that's like, look at my baby. Look at my baby.
And as well you should be. And I can, you know, you have 3 kids and it's still too young, but I imagine you'll treat your grandchild much different than you did your kids.
Oh yeah, because he goes home.
Yeah, exactly. And they get a lot more leeway too.
Oh yes, definitely.
Grandkids get more leeway.
Yeah.
So what failure or loss, Anne, has helped like shape the person that you are, like who you are?
Okay, good question. I think that would go back to like 2008.
Okay.
When the real estate market kind of started just tanking, and it started getting like, okay, what, you know, staging, there's not a lot of budget there for that kind of thing. And so I started thinking, okay, I'm only working with just a couple of realtors. Now is the time to really get involved with social media, get my name out there, get my web design up. You really start marketing. And then I got the opportunity to speak in front of a couple, a couple of groups of like Remax realtors and things like that. And that really, really helped during that time, because instead of just having a few realtors which kept me so busy, I now got scattered amongst many that kept me equally as busy. So it was like, whew. Trying to find that area though during that time was, you know, when you're self-employed and you're like, okay, where's the money coming from? Because things are drying up quick. So during that time, and then when the recession was over and things started coming back, then I now have all these realtors I'm working with. And so now I have to start pulling on my other resources.
Right.
So again, no 2 days are the same, you know, and I'm using my personnel for different things now than I ever thought I would. So it made me grow when I was perfectly fine just the way I was back in 2008. So yeah.
Awesome. So where do you see yourself in 3 years and then 10 years? How many more grandbabies are going to be on the way? But where do you see yourself in 3 years and 10 years?
Right. So in 3 years, I think I'll still be doing what I'm doing. My daughter, of course, she just had my grandson, so she's not working right now, but she was working with me before. And my 16-year-old son is super funny. He thinks that he's going to take over my business. So the flair for design, we're working on that.
Right.
But he likes the ins and outs of it. He comes to work with me when he can, and kind of sees some things. So I think I'll retire in this area as long as my children are here, and I can't sit still. So retiring probably isn't in the cards anytime soon. So, maybe I'll just only do staging. Maybe I will stop working with the end users at some point because there might not be enough time. But right now I'm enjoying what I'm doing. So.
Do you enjoy both equally, or do you prefer staging over end user? Or do you like, like the project we have, we're just starting, do you prefer going in the beginning and kind of getting involved? And like, where do you find the most fulfillment?
I think it depends on my client.
Okay.
It's some clients are like friends, and it's just like, I want to help them because I'm excited. Like you get excited for watching them walk into the house and assume their lives in that house. I do the same thing, so, if their enthusiasm matches my enthusiasm, that's a lot of fun. But it's more time consuming than my staging. Like I can get in, usually the house is vacant, and I'm like, boom, guys, do this, do that. Everyone knows their job. So I can kind of get in and get out of that. So it's a totally different scenario. I'm working on a commercial job right now. That's a lot of fun because, here's your budget.
Like
make
an
it
office
happen.
building or what?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's an office building, and it's huge, and I just have a lot of leeway. So I'm having fun with that. I'm having a lot of fun with that. So yeah, it's like I said, I'm not sure which one I prefer more. I think I love the idea that I have other areas. I'm not always staging, and I'm not always working with the end user. Sometimes I am, sometimes I have 3 going at one time. So it kind of just varies so much.
Very cool. So Anne, how would listeners, viewers, research more about you, find you? Where can we see your work?
Well, I have my webpage is Anne Souder Design, ANNESOUDERDESIGN.com.
Okay.
And then you'll get to see lots of pictures of my work, that kind of thing, which I think is probably the most important thing that people want to see with an interior designer.
Right.
But I do bathrooms and kitchens. I do, my contractors come in. I try to be a one-stop shop, especially with the realtors. I go in, I do a home improvement suggestion list. These are all the things that I think that if we update these, we're going to sell this house fast and for more money.
Right.
So that's my goal there. And then I get the contractors in. They all work under me so that I can be in charge of the order things happen, how quickly I can get it done. And I don't have to involve the homeowner or the realtor who don't have time for this, that kind of thing. So what was the question?
How do we find you?
Oh, well, that way.
Okay.
So and then my phone number, I'm always available. If I don't recognize the number, it goes to voicemail.
Right.
And there's
So
no
leave
way
a
around
message.
that, yes. But it's 301-956-6848.
Awesome. So listeners and viewers, I hope you enjoyed Anne's interview, her story, as much as I did. Anne Souder with Anne Souder Designs, and we are out.